Hello Gabe. One of the ladies that works for me wants to switch from being my employee to being an independent contractor. What should I do about her?
Vanessa, I'm glad you asked before making the switch. I am most concerned about the degree of control you have over her work, and whether she has shown any independence in her work activities.
I do give her a window of time to start and finish. She normally turns in a timesheet showing me her work hours. In that respect, she is pretty independent.
Before you can determine how to treat payments you make for services, you must first know the business relationship that exists between you and the person performing the services. Welcome back, YouTube community. Gabe here. Last week, we talked about your YouTube business, and the difference between a mutual fund and an ETF. Choosing one over the other may actually save you money in taxes. Today let's discuss the difference between an independent contractor and an employee. There are some common law rules that can help better explain how best to interpret a business relationship. Shall we begin? Vanessa, you have a couple of people working for you. How did that come about?
Several years ago, Peggy, Maria and I worked for a high-end hotel. I had been working on my real estate broker's license when I found out that the hotel was going to convert to condos. I was able to get my license just before the conversion, and quickly made 2 sales. My realtor business took off from there.
How was it that Peggy and Maria ended up working for you?
Peggy and I were assistant managers. Maria was head of housekeeping. A big investor purchased several units, and converted them to vacation rentals. Maria was able to get the contract for turnover.
Turnover? You mean when a guest leaves, someone has to prep the units for the next guests before they arrive. Clean up, do laundry, make the beds, etc.
Yes. As the condo units kept selling, I was able to pick up several that I could manage. I hired Peggy to help me with the property management side while I focused on sales. Peggy also did turnover work for our vacation rental clients. When Peggy had her first child, she wanted to work from home for a while. I had no problem with that. When we needed turnover work done, we just called Maria, who gave us a great price. Peggy could still take on turnover work when her husband could watch the baby, so it worked out nicely.
What happened? Why the sudden change from Peggy?
The tax law changes in 2018 took away a major deduction on her tax return. Having the home office allowed her to deduct unreimbursed employee business expenses. Especially lucrative was the mileage from her home office to the job site where she did turnover work.
Actually, miscellaneous itemized deductions subject to 2% of adjusted gross income are suspended until December 31, 2025. I understand her concern.
So that's the issue. I am not sure I can just switch Peggy to independent contractor. How does that work, exactly?
It's not going to be easy trying to switch from employee to independent contractor. There are several factors you must consider. Let's take Peggy's issues one at a time. Starting with the main difference between the two categories. Generally, you must withhold income taxes, withhold and pay Social Security and Medicare taxes, and pay unemployment tax on wages paid to an employee. You do not generally have to withhold or pay any taxes on payments to independent contractors. Peggy is an employee and receives a W-2 form showing her earnings for the year, along with any withholding. Maria is an independent contractor. She receives a Form 1099 at the end of the year showing the payments you have made to her. No taxes have been taken out of Maria's payments. In determining whether the person providing service is an employee or an independent contractor, all information that provides evidence of the degree of control and independence must be considered. Facts that provide evidence of the degree of control and independence fall into 3 categories: behavioral, financial, and type of relationship. Businesses must weigh all these factors when determining whether a worker is an employee or independent contractor. Vanessa, do you think you have control, or have the right to control what Peggy does and how she does her job?
I guess so. She has a set of properties that I assigned her to manage. That is mostly bookkeeping work and a few calls here and there. I review the property books monthly, and maintain a relationship with the owners. When there is vacation rental turnover work to do, the owners contact me. I check with Peggy first to see if she is available. If not, I give the job to Maria.
Assigning work is an example of behavioral control. When we think of behavioral control, it refers to facts that show whether there is a right to direct or control how the worker does the work. A worker is an employee when you have the right to direct and control the worker. The business does not have to actually direct or control the way the work is done, as long as the employer has the right to direct and control the work. Behavioral control factors fall into the categories of type of instructions given, degree of instruction, evaluation systems, and training. An employee is generally subject to the business's instructions about when, where, and how to work. Degree of instruction means that the more detailed the instructions, the more control the business exercises over the worker. If an evaluation system measures the details of how the work is performed, then these factors would point to an employee. If the business provides the worker with training on how to do the job, this indicates that the business wants the job done in a particular way. This is strong evidence that the worker is an employee.
I set up the bookkeeping system and trained Peggy on how to do the reporting. We worked together on the first few turnover jobs. That helped me create a checklist of things that need to be done before a unit is ready for the next guest. I also have both Peggy and Maria take pictures of the finished work so that I know the units are ready.
It sounds like your behavioral control factors support Peggy being an employee, but there are some loose ends that could be taken as an independent contractor. Let's talk about financial control. Vanessa, do you control the financial aspects of Peggy's job? Do you supply the tools and materials she uses on the job? Do you reimburse her for expenses? Do you control how and when she is paid?
Yes. Peggy submits a timesheet for hours worked every 2 weeks. She also gives copies of the receipts for supplies purchased. I reimburse her for all out-of-pocket expenses used on the supplies. The only thing I did not reimburse her for is her home office expenses and vehicle expenses. But she was content to take that deduction on her own tax return.
Okay. Let's talk about the second control factor, financial control. Financial control refers to facts that show whether or not the business has the right to control the economic aspects of the worker's job. The financial control factors fall into the categories of significant investment, unreimbursed expenses, opportunity for profit or loss, services available to the market, and method of payment. An independent contractor often has a significant investment in the equipment he or she uses in working for someone else. Independent contractors are more likely to have unreimbursed expenses than our employees. Having the possibility of incurring a loss indicates that the worker is an independent contractor. An independent contractor is generally free to seek out business opportunities. Independent contractors often advertise, maintain a visible business location, and are available to work in the relevant market. An employee is generally guaranteed a regular wage amount for an hourly, weekly, or other period of time. An independent contractor is usually paid by a flat fee for the job.
Peggy only works for me. She earns a regular wage. Maria gives me a bill for each job she completes. She also keeps an ad up promoting her business.
That supports Peggy as an employee. There is one last consideration. Are there written contracts or employee-type benefits? Do you offer a pension plan, insurance, vacation pay, etc.? Will your relationship continue? Is the work performed a key aspect of the business?
I pay for a group health insurance plan for Peggy and me. I paid family leave when her baby was born. She signed an employee contract when she started, but I have not updated it. I expect her to continue working for me. The work she does is a key aspect of my business.
Again, we have evidence supporting Peggy as an employee. Let's take a look at the third control factor, type of relationship. Type of relationship refers to facts that show how the worker and business perceive their relationship to each other. The factors, for the type of relationship between two parties, generally fall into the categories of written contracts, employee benefits, permanency of the relationship, and services provided as key activity of the business. Although a contract may state that the worker is an employee or an independent contractor, this is not sufficient to determine the worker's status. Businesses generally do not grant employee benefits to independent contractors. However, the lack of these types of benefits does not necessarily mean the worker is an independent contractor. If you hire a worker with the expectation that the relationship will continue indefinitely, rather than for a specific project or period, this is generally considered evidence that the intent was to create an employer-employer relationship. If a worker provides services that are a key aspect of the business, it is more likely that the business will have the right to direct and control his or her activities.
There is so much to consider. Peggy and I have created a business relationship from the beginning that was clearly employer-employee. It sounds like I would have to make a lot of adjustments, and she would have to do a lot in order to create a stronger independent presence, and hold herself out as an independent contractor. I will talk to Peggy. Perhaps we can come to an understanding on how to mitigate the tax deduction loss created by the tax law change that took effect in 2018. I can imagine how losing the mileage deduction as an unreimbursed employee business expense has hurt tax-wise. Gabe, thank you for taking the time to go over these details with me.
You're welcome. Talking it out sounds like a good idea. It may be more work than it's worth trying to change Peggy from employee to independent contractor. In summary, the facts that provide evidence of the degree of control and independence fall into three categories: behavioral, financial, and type of relationship. The IRS will look deep into the facts and circumstances that give the best evidence for the category of the worker. You can review the details on the IRS website. I will leave a link below. Please use this information for educational purposes. Consult your tax professional, investment advisor, or attorney for further guidance in your specific situation. I hope what I shared can help you better understand your YouTube business and the difference between an independent contractor and an employee. Please leave any questions in the comments section below. Let me know if there is a subject you would like to see a video on in the coming weeks. Please like and subscribe with a click to the thumbs up below. Have a great week. See you next week with more tips for your YouTube business. Cheers.